SEC apologist and talking head Paul Finebaum, he can't wrap himself around the fact that the Big Ten is about to win its second national championship in a row. So he's taking shots at the Ohio State Buckeyes. Those of us that follow the Big Ten, look, we know the Buckeyes story all too well. Ryan Day, under immense pressure to win everything after falling short in 2023, went all in revamping how they do things in Columbus. He doubled down on the nil collectives at Ohio State. He put together a $20 million all-star roster. Nothing wrong with that. That's how things are done in this day and age in college football. So Day even went a step further. He took himself away from the offensive game planning and the offensive play calling, gave away to Bill O'Brien briefly before he then left, and then they brought in Chip Kelly to guide the offense. It was all part of the Ryan Day master plan. This would give Day some more flexibility, more freedom to keep the feet to the fire for everybody else on the big picture at Ohio State. And while there were huge bumps in the road this year with losses to Oregon and Michigan and a failure to play in the Big Ten championship game, which is one of their major goals every year, here they are. Here they are, 60 minutes away from a national championship. Look, it was not a perfect path, all right? But they made it to the final game here Monday night. They're going to face Notre Dame. Ohio State's going to be heavy favorites in this one for the national championship. By the way, programming note, join us on Locked On Big Ten on YouTube live as soon as that game is over. We'll go live on Locked On Big Ten right after the final whistle. My immediate reaction, your immediate reaction on the comment section. It's live, give and take. It's awesome. We do it after all the big games throughout the year. We'll close it off with the championship. Mark your calendars now. Join us right after the game on Monday night. But back to the issue at hand. Some people are critical about how Ohio State put together their roster. ESPN's Paul Finebaum, he's rooting for Notre Dame because they're playing for a national championship, quote unquote, without an Ole Miss running back or an Alabama defensive back, unquote. Apparently, he's not a fan of Ohio State's success in the transfer portal. He's referring to Ohio State's running back, Quinshon Judkins, who was all SEC before coming to Columbus, and Caleb Downs, who transferred in from Tuscaloosa. Now, Caleb Downs, he was going to leave Alabama no matter what because Nick Saban was retiring. Should Ohio State be blamed for picking him up? Of course not. Would Notre Dame have turned him down had he called Marcus Freeman? Of course not. That would be preposterous. Should Ohio State be criticized because Judkins came to Ohio State, even though Trevion Henderson was already still there? He knew he'd be getting less playing time. So what's the big deal? Any other school could have gone after that guy. Hey, Quinshon, you can get more snaps if you come here, right? Any school, Notre Dame, Ohio State, whoever. So, and by the way, Day's real genius wasn't the kids he had nil money for to bring into the campus. His real genius was talking to numerous players already on the Ohio State Buckeyes roster and talking them into staying another year when many of them could have gone off into the NFL and made millions of dollars. Hooked them up with nice nil deals. They stayed, unfinished business, chance to win a championship. Here they are. That was the real genius of what Ryan Day did this year. He should be criticized for that because he did it better than anybody else. To point out just how ridiculous Finebaum's take is, let us not forget, Notre Dame just doesn't ignore the transfer portal either and nil money and all that. Quarterback Riley Leonard. He came from a good Duke football team last year. One of their best receivers, Bo Collins, arrived from Clemson, a playoff program. So don't tell me that Notre Dame is just 100% old school, just sitting back, developing players for 3 to 4 years like it's the 1970s. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. You got to have a holistic approach to it. And both of these schools do. Finebaum knows this. But Finebaum has a long history of bashing the Big Ten. He'd be pulling his hair out if he had any. At Penn State beat Notre Dame the other week, and then we have an all Big Ten national championship on Monday night. Because Paul loves himself some SEC. Loves the SEC, hates the Big Ten. The last time I checked, all Big Ten final or not, and we're not going to have one, but I don't see any SEC teams in there. None. In fact, the only team that had a shot at it was Big 12 transfer Texas. And by the way, they got beat by Ohio State. In fact, if I can recall, Finey's beloved SEC didn't do too well against the Big Ten this entire offseason, did they? Ohio State, already mentioned the win over Texas. Ohio State was the third-place team in the Big Ten. They beat the third-best team in the SEC, Tennessee, by 25 points in the playoffs. That must have hurt Finey. USC, led by Lincoln Riley, who Finebaum considers a buffoon. Finebaum says Lincoln Riley is a fraudulent and illegitimate football coach. He's hammered him for his entire career. But he beat Texas A&M of the SEC in the Las Vegas Bowl, didn't he? What do you think about that? Michigan, with no quarterback, really, beat Alabama a second time in 365 days in the postseason. How about that? How about Illinois? They defeated a red-hot South Carolina Gamecock team in the Citrus Bowl. Red-hot. Physical game. Beat them down. Because that's what the Big Ten does. In fact, if it weren't for Missouri needing 2 late field goals in order to beat the Iowa Hawkeyes in their bowl game, the Big Ten would have run the table against the SEC. Finey's beloved SEC in the postseason. Look, clearly, and this is something we're going to harp home on here in the offseason, the SEC is not the SEC anymore. They're not. They've dropped a peg. And the Big Ten is pretty much where it's been. And some people would even consider this a down year for the Big Ten. You know, it was all top heavy, right? The big criticism of the Big Ten is, all the good teams are the top. We got Ohio State, you got Oregon, you got Penn State, Indiana was a playoff team, Illinois was a top 25 team. And they want to say, that's all they got. The middle team and the lower tier teams, they're not good enough. Well, that's about to change if that's even true. And, the SEC's got some work to do. But anyway, I'd like to take a little shot at Finey there because the Big Ten, they're about 60 minutes away from being back-to-back national champions in college football. That's right. We'll make our official pick. We've got our point spreads and all that we're going to dive into in our final segment here with our pigskin picks. But clearly the Big Ten is on top of the college football world, and some people just aren't too happy about it. We are. That's what we do here at Locked On Big Ten. Thoughts and comments? Would love to hear from you. Comments on YouTube. I'll get you all fired up with all of that. Be sure to subscribe to and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And we always ask you to share, like, and follow Locked On Big Ten as well. That really helps us out. Thank you. It helps you get dialed in with us as well. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there chronologically, and we group them by school as well. So if you got a favorite team, if you're a Buckeye fan, you go to the Buckeye section, and all the podcasts we've done that have featured the Buckeyes will be right there. Plus, we have links where you could buy your favorite Buckeye gear, if you will. All right there. College teams, Talk Big Ten. Get your shirts, pennants, hats, T-shirts, all that right there. TalkBig10.com. All right, lots going on. We're not done with this Finebaum. He's criticizing other parts of the Big Ten, taking a shot at Penn State and James Franklin. We'll get into that. Ohio State, talk about them. Big announcement about Urban Meyer. We will get to all of that, plus our pick later on as we continue here on Locked On Big Ten. PrizePicks. This is fun. You got to do PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of winnings. PrizePicks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports, whether it's in the playoffs or the regular season. PrizePicks has made it easier than ever to win big while enjoying the entire football season. Now that we're in the playoffs, there's no better way to get into the action here than with PrizePicks. Here's how it works. You pick a couple of players or a bunch of players, at least two, and pair them with their stats, say more than or less than with these stats of at least two players. And if your picks hit, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. That's right, 1,000 times your money just by making a few simple picks. For example, this weekend, looking for Lamar Jackson to have more than 250 yards passing, and Travis Kelce more than 70 yards in receiving. Put it all together. PrizePicks have their flex play where you can still double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And with the app, you get your winnings fast, sometimes in as little as 15 minutes. Ready to run your game this football season? Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 just for playing. So don't wait. Take your game to the next level with PrizePicks. PrizePicks, run your game.